Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. I'm super excited. I'm going to be answering a ton of your most frequently asked questions regarding college. So just a little background, because it has been a while since I've been on YouTube. I did just want to explain my situation, kind of what I'm going through. So I am actually transferring to Florida State University. I'm going in as a junior, so I've already completed my 2 years of college and my associate's level, and I will be starting next month, and I'm super excited. And I tend to get a lot of questions regarding the process and what made you want to go away to a big school like this, and just a bunch of questions like that. So I figured today I would just dedicate an entire video to just talking about it and just answering some of the frequently asked questions that I get. And just keep in mind, this is totally my opinion and my experience with the process and all that stuff. So everyone has a different experience, and keep that in mind. Yours may be different than mine, and depending on the school you want to go to or you're going to. So the first question is, what college are you transferring to? So like I just mentioned, I am transferring to Florida State University, FSU. So I did my first 2 years at a local community college just to save money and just for the convenience factor. And also because I had just moved here right before the start of the semester, so it was a very last minute thing. And if you're still in high school and you're trying to figure out if you want to go away your first 2 years, if you want to save money and stay, in my opinion, I wouldn't regret what I did. I'm glad I, saved the money and went to a community school, because the first 2 years you're taking your general education classes anyway that you need. So no matter if you go to a big university to take them, or if you're going to a smaller college, you're taking the same classes, so you might as well just save the money. And I really enjoyed it because a lot of the times at these community schools, you do get smaller class sizes, so you get a lot more attention from the teachers, and just something to keep in mind. I mean, that's my experience with it. So the second question is, what is your major? I always think it's funny to hear this question, just because I feel anytime you meet someone or you start talking to someone, they're always what's your major? Or what do you do? So I'm actually an accounting major. I did go into college already knowing that's the major I wanted to pursue. I kind of had explored different options throughout high school and spoke to different people. And I actually have a video kind of all about my major and how I picked it and stuff like that. So I'll have it linked down below. You guys can check that out if you're more interested on how I came to that major. If you're in high school and you're struggling, definitely watch that video. But yeah, I really enjoy it so far. It seems to be a good fit. Obviously things could change, but as of now, accounting is my major. Next question is, was the application process difficult as a transfer student? And no, personally for me and the schools that I applied for, it really wasn't that difficult, especially compared to when you're a senior and you're filling out all of those applications. I feel it was so much easier. And actually for Florida State, I know I didn't even have to write an essay. It was just a matter of grades and submitting different paperwork and stuff like that. And that's what's really great as a transfer student. It is a lot easier, and it's a lot easier to get into schools that you want to go to. So for instance, I probably wouldn't have gotten into Florida State as a incoming freshman, just because their acceptance rate is so low, and they have a very high standard as far as grades go in high school and all of that. And not to say that my grades weren't, great or anything like that, but they have really high standards, and it's a lot easier to go in as a transfer student. So just keep that in mind. Let's say maybe, you want to go to a certain school and you don't get in, and you feel obligated to go to a different school that you don't really want to go to. And to be honest with you, that was kind of the way it worked out for me. I just saved the money and went to a community school. I mean, it's as simple as that. But just don't feel pressured to go to a school you don't want to go to because you didn't get in, because if you just go and save some money for 2 years, you can try again and you'll most likely get in. The question is, how did you pick which school you wanted to go to? So it's really funny. Back when I had finished my associates, I knew I was gonna take a semester off just to breathe and just kind of enjoy some time with family and work a bit and save money and all that stuff. I was kind of set on knowing where I wanted to go to school. I was actually interested in a school called FIU. If you live in Florida, you're probably familiar with these schools. And FIU is in Miami, so it is complete different side of the state than Florida State. But a reason why I wanted to go there was just because I liked where it was located, and I would be able to live with my grandparents and not have to pay for room and board, and they had pretty reasonable tuition, and I just figured it was a good fit. I knew their program was really good for accounting and all that stuff. I really didn't give much interest to any other schools just because I didn't grow up here. I didn't really know the schools. When I heard about that, it just seemed like a good fit. So I just didn't even honestly like pursue any other like schools. I really didn't even know about many other schools. And I actually got really sick back in February, and then my parents really wanted me to go tour some different colleges just to see options, just because I had the time off and all that stuff. And so I ended up going to look at a couple of like bigger schools that like are in a college town, which is something that I had never seen or experienced, just because back in New York and like the colleges that I had wanted to go to back in high school, a lot of them were in the city, so you don't really get that like college town feel. And so I ended up going to look at a couple. I saw UF, which is University of Florida, and FSU. And actually UF has a better accounting program than FSU, if I'm not mistaken. But I ended up going with FSU just because, well, their program's still really good. Don't get me wrong, I'm pretty sure it's like second. But because I really loved the feel of the town, it reminded me of New York. It doesn't really feel like Florida. It seemed really like all the classes were really close to each other. I just really loved the campus and the vibe and the energy I was getting from the students. And I don't know, I just could see myself there, whereas in UF I really just didn't see myself there. And it just made me really excited, and I just remember going home smiling, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I really want to go to this school. And it was just something I had never really felt before with any other schools I had seen or visited. So it was really exciting. I was definitely nervous that I wouldn't get in, just because again, like the standards are super high at that school or those schools. But yeah, I feel like once you look at it and you tour it, you just kind of know. You have to obviously factor in a couple of things, like the program you want to go for, the like tuition, and the town, and just there's so many things to factor in. But I think all in all, you kind of have to like do cost benefit analysis and like weigh which ones are better than others and stuff like that. So I know I'm rambling, but for me, I just kind of like knew that overall that was where I saw myself, and I thought I would like get the most for my money and the best education. So that is how I decided on what school to go to. The next question is it weird to go in as a transfer student? So I still haven't, gone to school yet. I'm leaving next month. But, truthfully, it's definitely nerve-wracking because you are going in, and I personally don't really know anyone at the school, so it's scary. But it is such a big school, and I know it's going to be really easy to meet people, and I'm actually going to my orientation this weekend. And what's really cool is the entire orientation is just transfer students, so I think that they do a really good job as far as like trying to like let people meet each other, especially since all of us are going in as transfer students. But keep in mind that so many people do that. So many people go and save their money and work and then end up going away to school. So it's not like no one does it. And a lot of times I think it's honestly better in the sense that like a lot of times freshmen are just a little bit more mature and are known for like doing some crazy stuff and just kind of, getting away from family. Like you just kind of go through that crazy stage. And so when I feel like you go in later on, you kind of like get past that and you really can just focus on what you need to focus on. Obviously you can still have fun, but I kind of just feel like the maturity level is there. You kind of go in like knowing what you want to do, like what you want to achieve. I don't think it's weird. I think it's completely normal. And yeah. Do you plan to work while you're in school? So a lot of people ask me this, a lot of family members ask me this, and so truth is I know it's gonna be a big adjustment, like going to the school, getting used to the town, getting used to my schedule, living on my own. And so I don't really think initially I plan to work. I want to get like accumulated and just adjusted to the change of pace and all that stuff, really have time to focus on my homework and everything, obviously. And I'm grateful that my parents are like giving me the opportunity to do all those things and not have to work and stress out. But I am a licensed cosmetologist, and so I will hopefully be doing like a lot of freelance work on the side and whatnot. And then if I feel like I have the energy and time to get a job, I definitely will. Have you ever been rejected from a college? I really wanted to talk about this in this video because I do think it's important, and I have been rejected. So like I was mentioning briefly earlier, back when I was in high school, I was so set on going to this one college in Manhattan. It was like my dream school. It had the best accounting program, and I just was like super excited, and I ended up not getting accepted. It was like the most devastating day of my life. I remember like one of my best friends at the time had gotten accepted and didn't even want to go there. And so for me it was like very hard, and it definitely took a big hit on like my confidence and just my self-esteem. Like, I don't know, like it was very devastating and hard to deal with. I feel like everything happens for a reason, as cheesy as that sounds, and I definitely would not be where I am today if it weren't for that. And my life has taken me a totally, completely different like way. But yeah, I have been rejected. It's difficult to go through, and I'm sure a lot of you guys watching may or may not have been rejected from a school. But just know that it's not meant to be, and there are other schools out there that are just as good, if not better, and school is what you make of it. Like, no matter where you go, whether it's like a top school or if it's like a community school, you know, whatever you put forth is what you get back. And then the last question is, what kind of grades do you need to get into FSU? So I did want to address this really quickly, and not just FSU, like any school. It depends on your major. It depends on like what year you're entering in. Like, I'm entering as a transfer student, so it's a lot easier. They don't really look at your high school grades for the most part. They're really just solely looking at like your grades from your first years of college. And so make sure you're doing really well if that's like your plan to like just do your first 2 years and then transfer. Definitely make sure you're working really hard, you're keeping your grades up, because that's what they're looking at. And but again, it's different for everyone, it's different for every program, and it's different for every school. So just keep that in mind. So those are all the questions that I'm going to answer for today. But if you guys have any more questions and you'd like me to do like a part 2 to this, let me know. Leave your questions down below. I'd be glad to do this video again. And I think that's it. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!